church in Manila is the cradle of the Lord's recovery in the Philippines. Many churches in Metro Manila have since been propagated from Manila. Although the administration of each locality is independent, yet the fellowship of the body in the Spirit is one, receiving in one accord the teaching of the apostles and the leading of the ministry. The church in Manila was raised up over 70 years ago, beginning in 1930 when Brother Huang He-sheng returned to mainland China and contacted the flow of the Lord's recovery in Fujian province. He came to know the brothers the Lord had raised up and got enlightened to see that denominations are condemned by God. He and his wife were then baptized. They resolved to leave the denominations, and together with some saints who followed them, they were sanctified and began to meet at Nueva Street. The first turning point of the church was in June of 1937, when Brother Watchman Nee passed by Manila on his way to England. He was invited to hold a conference. The messages he spoke were concerning the overcoming life of Christians. In his fellowship, he recommended Brother Witness Lee, referring to him as a brother who has a bright future. Only then did the saints start to know and admire Brother Lee. Before the start of World War II, they invited him to come and help, but before he could even process his travel papers, war broke out, so his coming was delayed. In 1940, the Philippines fell into the hands of the Japanese Imperial Army. The church was prevented from having meetings. Nevertheless, the church still prayed in one accord and was eventually led by the Lord to this dark period of trial. In 1950, the church experienced yet another turning point. At the end of the same year, the Lord sent Brother Witness Lee to Manila and gave the church timely help and supply, leading the church to enter into the flow of his recovery. His visit brought blessing to the church. Many saints were added, bringing vitality to the church. During his visit, the co-workers, elders, and deacons asked Brother Lee to help the church move onward. When asked whether they wanted him to help as a guest speaker or to take the lead, the co-workers, the elders, and the deacons signified their willingness to hand themselves over for Brother Lee to take the lead. Around 1951, after Brother Lee stepped forward to lead the church dropped the name Christian Gospel Center and started to meet upon the local ground as the church in Manila. In April of 1961, Brother Lee led a group of young people to Baguio for a training. There, they experienced the outpouring of the Spirit. Even as they sang, "Spring up well with water," the Spirit greatly poured out Himself upon the saints. While the believers upon the mountain were experiencing the outpouring of the Spirit, a storm blew upon the church. While the Spirit was burning on the mountain, rebellious elements were brewing below. A few ambitious people who were envious of the church leadership often gathered secretly and unscrupulously slandered Brother Lee, distributing flyers containing the words, "Bring down the 4 elders and drive away Witness Lee." The 4 elders then wrote a letter to Brother Wei Kwangsi, a former classmate of Brother Watchman Nee, who was then a leading co-worker in Hong Kong, to come to Manila and help. Brother Wei came and fellowshiped with the opposing co-workers and pointed out their mistakes. At the same time, he ministered the word in various kinds of meetings. Unfortunately, the opposers rejected him. On August 22 of the same year, the opposers caused PC soldiers to be deployed and to occupy the meeting hall, barring the entrance of the elders and of any brother or sister, effectively suspending the church meeting. On August 24, the pure lovers of the Lord rented the meeting hall. Brother Wei ministered the word during the meetings, reckoning their being expelled from the meeting hall as the Lord's sanctifying work. The meeting was filled with the Lord's presence and with the release of the Spirit. The fear and unrest as a consequence of the incident eventually dissipated. After the turmoil, the church in Manila was preserved by the Lord to stand on the local ground of oneness, according to the pure revelation of the Bible. Brother Lee served and supplied the church from the end of 1950 until April 1961, when the rebellion broke out. During this time, he ceaselessly sowed, planted, and watered the church in Manila. Every year, he spent around half of his time to serve the church, spending his life, time, and energy. Brother Lee's work during this time was of 6 aspects. He led, administered, and shepherded the church. He established a workers' house and trained a group of young people. He ministered the word. He helped to establish the deacon's office. He visited the churches in the Philippines. He helped in the writing and translation of hymns. In the years that followed, there were faithful co-workers like Brother Wei Guangxi and Brother Chang Wuchen, who visited and helped the church, particularly in Manila in the 1960s. Brother Huang Guisheng and his wife came to the Philippines. They concentrated their service in Metro Manila, especially in the localities of Pasay City and Quezon City. Brother Liu Sui received the burden to come and serve in the Philippines. He conducted a 1-year training in coordination with Brother Huang Guisheng and his wife. In 1979, Brother Liu Zhicheng came to the Philippines. He initially worked with the churches in the southern part of the Philippines. In 1986, he moved to Malabon to take care of the full-time training and has been there until now. These saints came and became blessings to the church. They fully testify that a church in the fellowship of the body is blessed. During the 1990s, more co-workers from Taiwan came to help the church in Manila, especially when the church began to meet by halls in September 1991. Initially, the church was subdivided into 3 halls. Hall 1, Hall 2, Hall 3. Hall 1 is at Ongpin in Santa Cruz. Hall 2 is at Jose Abad Santos in Tondo. It was formerly the house of the late Sister Nang Chu Ai, purchased by the church and remodeled. Hall 3 is in the district of Paco. In 1994, Hall 4 in Sampaloc was added. After practicing to meet by halls, the number of saints immediately increased. The church in Manila keeps the teaching of the apostles and stands upon the ground of oneness of the local church, and is always open to the universal fellowship. All the churches and the saints are welcome to come and fellowship with us.